Welcome back. Will Robinson here from Robinson's Auto, toolsandtime.com. Part 2 of this Ford Focus P060D P2127. So where are you guys at? Man, I've been reading these comments coming in, and I tell you what, there's a lot of sharpshooters out there. I encourage you guys to take a moment and read through these comments because there's some different approaches that will definitely take you in the same direction. However, I'm going to stick to the same approach that I took during this course, and ultimately ended up finding our issue. So we're gonna narrow down and see where we stand at this point. I didn't write down number 3 because I want you guys to not rule anything out, making assumptions. However, number 3 was the accelerator pedal has been replaced, and it did not solve the issue, and that was prior to it coming to us. Got the scope out. Yes, I already got my scope out. What's our next step? Man, we have a lot of steps we can take. My first step, and why I took off the front wheel to get down to the PCM right away, was to verify or to do a visual on a harness, especially after we found that misfire. So I wanted to just take a peek, make sure everything was plugged in. So I didn't see anything obvious doing a visual. So next I would ask, what side would you start at? Do we start at the accelerator pedal or the PCM? Well, if I wasn't already down at the PCM and this was just a regular car coming in that had this APP2 fault, then I would probably most likely start at the accelerator pedal, right? Why go through all that work of getting down to that PCM if we don't have to? So 90% of the times, this would be your approach. However, we do have access to the PCM at this point, so I could jump down here and we could back probe APP1 and APP2 and just see what that signal looks like on the oscilloscope. That would be pretty cool. Just see what we got in reference to our scan data, and that way we have a before and after capture just in case I disturb something and we lose where we stand. In addition, what I'm going to do for you guys is disconnect the Ford IDS, the VCM2. I'm going to put that away for now, and I'm just going to hook up my launch, and we're going to see if we can monitor APP1 and APP2 with that prior to making any changes. So I'm going to leave the condition where it's at. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this old beat up screen. We're going to read the faults, retrieve, and as you see, P060D, internal control module, accelerator pedal, and P2127. So in this demonstration, I'm just showing you if you have a decent scan tool, you don't need the IDS to get to where we were going. We're going to read the data stream. Some of these, they'll list them weird, you see? And if you remember right, the code pointed to, I just want to monitor that for a minute. Tammy, can you step on the gas for me real quick? Yeah. All right, back, let off it. D and E, I just want to confirm this. So that's D and E. And I also want to look at 1 and 2. To see what the difference is between them two. Okay, so one's reading in percentage and one's reading in voltage. Okay. All right, step on the pedal. And as you can see, all we have is activity on APP1. Let's take out D and E. We'll bring these up and we're going to graph them. So essentially just what we were looking at on our other data. Want to give a gas, Tammy? Oh, were you stepping on it? Oh, you had the pedal down. As you can see, this, even the voltage reading is way down. And it's showing pretty much the same thing as it did on the Ford IDS software. So I'm pretty impressed so far. Want to give a gas, please? Let off. Okay, so I got this harness unplugged, and man, the plugs are even broke on this PCM APP1 52. So we go down here and we can see where 52 is. Also, if we look here on the plug, there's a, like usually in the start of every row, you'll see like right here is 46. So 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Should be right about here. And if we flip it over, it should be yellow and orange. So right here, yellow and orange. I'm going to back probe it. We could poke it, but I'm just going to back probe it for now. And I already have APP done, but that is blue with white 26. So 26 is the second row. And as you can see, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And then we flip it over and we see it's this one right here, blue with white, coming into the PCM. See if we have anything here. This will be APP2. So now we have the oscilloscope hooked up. I just brought you up here on a laptop. It'll be a little bit easier for the demonstration. In addition, I'm going to run the scan data at the same time, so you'll be able to see process data versus real time. And maybe this will be beneficial, maybe it won't. All right, Tammy, can you push on the accelerator? Let off. As you can see, APP1 is responding just like the scan data, the process data. However, APP2 is just sitting there. Push it again. Let off. Pump it a few times. Okay, hold up. As you can see, we have the same exact scenario. Real time, processed, pretty darn close. As you can see, it's hanging right around 1 volt without the accelerator being pressed at the 1 volt max. APP2 is 360 millivolts, not moving. Want to hit the accelerator, please? Hold it down. Give it a couple minutes or a couple seconds here to capture a high. Did you let off it and then push again? Okay. Just hold it there for a little bit. As you can see, APP1 is hit its max capture, which is like 4.16 volts. Hopefully all this is making sense to you and this approach doesn't seem too far-fetched. I just wanted to get down there and verify if I had something there and that the PCM just wasn't communicating to the software. However, we don't have any signal present, so our scan data is telling us the truth, our process data. So it was right around this point when technician B said, hang on, let's just back up and jump to the accelerator pedal and make sure we have all of our power and grounds. So at this time we came inside, came down to the accelerator pedal. The plug isn't going to be very easy to get at, let alone probe in place. So we're going to have to take and unplug it. Get a front probe and an alligator clamp. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to hook my ground up to a known good. Hopefully a known good. Okay, now that we have the connector unplugged, so we have this locking tab off to the left. So here our terminals will be 1 through 6. So now if we look back at our reference, we know that number 1 is APP1 5 volt reference. So let's see what we got. And hopefully you can see that we got just about 5 volts on APP1, which we were expecting that to be good. So our next reference would be number 6. And we flip that around, we see that it's blue with gray. That to the front, and then we'll probe number 6. And we got nothing. Let me check that again. APP1, 5 volts. APP2, we have nothing. So we are missing our 5 volt reference. Just out of giggles, I'm going to run down the complete connector. because I know it's not going to hurt nothing. Making sure our 5 volts isn't where it doesn't belong. So we see we have pretty much 5 volts on 1, nothing on 2, nothing on 3, nothing on 4. Wait a minute. Why is our 5 volts on 5? That's supposed to be our signal wire. How is that possible? That can't be right. Because what did I notice earlier when we had the scope hooked up? And I know I'm on the same color wire, blue with white. Blue with white tracer. And we got that back probe now. That makes no sense. Hopefully you can see it. I'm definitely front probing 6. Zoom back out. There's nothing. As soon as I go up to 5, I have 5 volts. Blue with white. I know I'm back probed on blue and white out there on the PCM, and I am not showing 5 volts on that scope. Let's make sure our grounds are in the right spot. So what I'll do, so I know I got a good 5 volts here. Now I'm going to get another front probe, and we're going to check our grounds. Okay, so we know violet with green, return, ground. Zoom back out. As you can see, hopefully you can see, reading just about 5 volts. Okay, so that's APP1 ground. Now we're not checking the entire integrity of the system. It could be pulling down if we put a load on it. Next I'm looking for APP2 return, which is yellow and green, which is pin number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that seems like it should be in the right spot. We definitely have a ground there. The first thing I gotta do is figure out why our 5 volts is on number 5, because it shouldn't be. That 5 volts should be on 6. Okay, so I'm just out at the PCM now with the DVOM, and I want to see if I have 5 volts in that APP2 signal like I have inside. APP2, definitely blue with white, plain as day. There is not 5 volts there. Why am I reading 5 volts on blue and white inside the car? I'm going to plug in the accelerator pedal. Out of giggles, let's check APP1 with the voltmeter. Plug back in. Even though with that open I was reading 5 volts on it, so something's putting 5 volts to that blue and white. But let's see what APP2 actually reads here. .9. Pretty much what we were seeing. Want to go inside and hit the accelerator pedal? Nothing. Let off. Okay, I'm going to go on APP1 now. Our known good. So we're reading 0.75. Okay, step on it. As you can see, we're going up to just about 4 volts. Let off. So we could do 90% of these checks, almost all these checks, with the voltmeter. So we just confirmed that APP1's working great, and we know that. But APP2 is really throwing me for a loop at the moment. So let's look for APP2 5 volt reference. So reference 2 should be blue and gray on 46. 46 is the very first one on the bottom. Should be blue and gray. Right here. Blue with gray. Actually going to move this one over to here. We're going to also back probe the 5 volt reference just so we can confirm our meter for APP1, which is 53, green and orange. That should be both of our 5-volt references right there. Turn the key on for me. Green with orange. Okay, there's our 5 volts, and we know that one had 5 volts on the same color wire in the vehicle. So our 5 volts is good there. Look at that, our 5 volts is good on blue and gray. So it's showing right out here. This PCM is putting out the 5 volts reference on the correct wire, on the correct pin, and the colors are showing correct. Do I simply just unpin it somewhere and fix it? Is it something different in the non-flex fuel compared to the flex fuel harness? And why would that be the only difference? And why would it be so close, a blue and a gray and a blue and a white? This just threw a total wrench into the situation because something is not jiving between point A and point B. We are evidently mixing up 2 wires, at least. We know down at the PCM that our APP1 reference is good. We know that. And reference 2, blue and gray, we are also good at the PCM. However, we go to the accelerator pedal and we don't have power on blue and gray. We do have power on the green with orange, pin 1, but pin 6 we don't have any power. However, pin 5, we are reading 5 volts right here when it should be right there. But yet I'm not showing 5 volts here. 5 volts, 5 volts, 0 volts, 0 volts. I'm reading 0 here, but yet on this side of the wire, I'm reading 5 volts. It was right around this point when I reached out to the owner and I asked him if there was any differences in the harness. And what he said is that everything was plug and play, except for when he got down behind the dash. There was, it seemed like things were slightly different. But it didn't click at first, and then I was thinking, how can things be slightly different? It's like, how would that be noticeable if you were just plugging stuff in? Why would that be mentioned? That's when we went in deeper. So let me take you along and show you what we found. Now, it didn't look this bad when I found it. I pulled it all out, and this was all taped up nice and neat. Twisted together just how you see it. However, there's a small harness that runs behind the heater box, and the heater box would have had to been removed to replace the last section of harness. So there was 10 wires remaining. So I'm assuming they thought, well, you know what, we're down to the last 10 wires and I don't feel like pulling that heater box out. I've been going over this and I can see now why he was mentioning what he was mentioning, because like, look how vibrant the green and orange shows up. Hopefully it's showing up good on the camera. On this side it looks like green and red. So there's a little bit of a difference in color. These two look pretty much the same color as well. Violet and white, that looks pretty close. Yellow and orange. And then when you come down here, guess what 2 wires these look like? Blue with gray. That looks like blue and white. But definitely a different shade. These two look like the exact same colors. It was at this point I decided to just unhook all the wires. You can look at the floor down here. I actually just snipped them. I didn't even bother untaping them at that point. I just started cutting them out. Isolated everything from each other. And I wanted to make certain that I had all my APP wires. And I'll show you how I determined those were right. Okay, so then I came back over here to the accelerator pedal. So mind you, all the wires are disconnected. Well, pretend that all the wires are disconnected. On the opposing side, behind the glove box, I set this up to ohms and audible. So I want to hear the tone, and then I know it's just like putting that piece of conductor between these two wires. I should hear that audible signal. So I came down to number 6, which is APP2 reference, which is blue and gray. So to me, this one here looks like blue and white. This one here definitely looks like blue and gray. Can you hear the audible signal? Take it over there. Hear it?
Yep.
Well then, I know that I'm on the right conductor. And then I did the same thing to APP2 signal. Now that's blue and white. I therefore just came over to the other side. I located blue and white, number 5. And you can hear it, right? So it's just like that piece of wire from point A to point B. You won't hear it on any other one except for number 5. So now I know I located APP2 signal and APP2 reference. And then I also went for APP ground, and I actually went through the whole entire, all 6 wires, and determined where all 6 of them were on the other side, and the colors matched exactly. Without a shadow of a doubt, I wanted to make sure this blue wire, whether it be blue and white or blue and gray, matched exactly out there at the PCM, and I could just land it, even if it was a different color, even if this thing was purple. If I knew this was my 5-volt reference, I know I have to hook this up to blue and gray. As long as from point A to point B this was the right conductor, I would be fine with that. So next I'm going to show you the approach we took to determine what conductor was what from point A to point B. Now I could have simply did the same thing with the ohm meter and listened for that audible signal. However, I would need some kind of extension leads for my meter, and I do not have anything like that. So I'm going to just show you another quick method. We're going to actually do this with 2 test lights. Now you might be asking, why don't I just run a hot wire down and power up that one conductor straight? Well, what if there's more of this going on that we're just not aware of, and we send the 12-volt full potential out into the field and it's shorted somewhere and we're not really protected. With the test light, I know you guys love this test light. These test lights use a regular bulb, in this case a 194. I'm not sure what it is inside this test light, but they're both regular filament light bulbs. So worst that can happen with this hooked up to positive, if that conductor is shorted, the worst that's going to happen is the bulb's just going to illuminate, right? It's not that big of a deal. So it's a line of protection. So we're going to be using a test light to power up that conductor. Now on the opposing side, see if it lights up this test light, or I can simply check for 12 volts. All right, so we're going to want to do this with the PCM unplugged. So I got the key off. As you already know, these connectors are screwed. 5-volt reference for 2, yeah, blue and gray, so that's pin 46. Let's just double check that. Pin 46. So yeah, it's my very first pin on this bottom row, so it's actually going to be right here. Pin 46, so blue and gray. So now all I have to do is hook this up to a 12-volt power source. I'll just run another jumper down from the battery, hook it up to here, and then the 12 volts will follow through my test light bulb to conductor 46 that I have front probed, the blue and gray, and it should take me inside to the opposite end. Okay, we're going to hook up to a known good ground. It might not be super bright, but it should illuminate it. So, touch here, I know it's not here. I could go through all of them if I wanted to, and it's not illuminating the bulb. And then as soon as I get to this one, it illuminated the light bulb. So I know that this one here is our blue and gray. So this is our 12 volt reference wire. So we can strip that right away. We should label it, right? For now, I know that this is my blue and gray. I don't have it plugged into the accelerator pedal, so I'm just going to take and twist that together. And then I just went and I kept on doing that to the conductors out front. So I actually know that this one here is blue and white. So go to blue and white. And I just went down the line and I confirmed all my APP wires. We could take and do the same thing with this meter. Hook one side to ground and hook up here, and we should read 12 volts. That will be the only conductor we would read 12 volts on. I could go through it. We might see some millivolts. Only 12 volts, the white with gray, because that's what we have the 12 volts applied to. So that's how you would do it like that. But I just want to show you all those approaches that you could take. Now that this is all hooked back up, I'm going to go out front. We're going to plug in the PCM, and then we're going to confirm our voltages at the pedal. So we know green with orange is APP1 reference, so I should have 5 volts there. I gotta find it. There you go, 5 volts. And APP2 is number 6, and that is a blue with gray. So blue with gray, and we know number 6 all the way down. Bam. Okay, we got our 5 volts where it belongs. Nice. Sweet, as Leon would say, sweet. Okay, so now we're going to take and get my other front probe. Now that we have our known good reference on APP2, let's see if we have a good return. APP2 return is yellow and green. So that's the third one up from the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4 down from the top. So it's pin 4. 1, 3, 4. Bam. There she be. 5 volts between reference and return. That's what you want to see. We'll just confirm the same for APP1. Up top, and return is violet and green. 1, 2, 3. Bam. There you go. Okay. The only ones I didn't check is the signals, but I can assure you that they're on the right conductor because we verified it from point A to point B. So now, Tammy, if you could turn the key off. So we're all plugged in. Moment of truth. Okay, to save you guys the agony, I got it all back probed once again on APP1 and APP2. And we're going to turn the key on for the first time. Okay. As you can see, I had it set on a 2 volt mark to start with. And we jumped up to, I would say, just under, well, right around 1 volt for APP1. It looks like on the max, it's been hitting 1 volt, and APP2 looks like about 640 millivolts, so maybe even a half a volt, because you can see the mins as well. It's fluctuating right between. So there's some kind of offset most likely built into this, but that's okay. We are going to see if the ECM is now, or the PCM is now happy Man, guys, look at all the faults we created. But we know we disconnected the PCM, so we're not going to worry too much about that. We could clear them quick if you want. However, I want to go right to the PCM. Accelerator pedal 1 and accelerator pedal 2. Whoa, look at that. It's looking better already. Like I said, just under a volt. On the oscilloscope, it's showing right around a volt max. 680 min. So split the difference. It's right around there, right? And you can see under a half a volt on 2. And I believe that is the offset. I would have to look it up, but we're going to go with this for now. Gosh, this one doesn't want to focus on both. Let's kick it off with the process data. All right, Tammy, moment of truth.
Ready?
Is the engine fault light on right now?
No.
It's not. No. All right, step on it.
Here we go.
There it is. Let it off. I could hear the throttle body.
Yeah.
She's going. Step on it. Nice. Pump it. Did the engine fault trip?
Nope.
Nothing. Fantastic. Now if you looked at the other one, you could look at the bar graph on the side and it would show you that the voltage is different, even though it looked the same. It was just at a different voltage scale. Now, remember, we still have 1 volt per division, both channels. You're gonna actually see the offset that they incorporated in. All right, step on it. Let off. Step on it. Let off. Step on it and hold it down. You can see we're hitting right around 2 volts on APP2, and we're hitting right around 4 volts on APP1. She's holding it wide open, but if you look here, right around 4 volts, right? Right around 2 volts. Round that off. You see the volt max and volt max min, essentially, since we've been holding it there for a while, it's fluctuating a little bit. And guys, I believe we got a fix. All right, let's give it a couple more pumps. And you said that it hasn't thrown that fault yet?
Nope.
Fantastic. Pump it a couple times. She actually looks nice and stable. I'm not seeing any dropouts. Like we'd be looking for some kind of dropout. It's mirroring, it's pretty much a mirror image at a different voltage scale. Now, if you wanted it to look exactly alike, what I might be able to do for you is change the voltage scale on 2 to trick you. So now what you're seeing, I pretty much even the playing field for it. Offset because I set channel 1 to 1 volt per division and channel 2 to 500 millivolts. So now, Tammy, if you step on it, you'll see the thing will mirror it exactly. Let off. Pump it. So as you've seen, it is linear. It's a half a volt offset. Try starting it up. Alright, remember before, guys, don't want to come off of idle. She's just going to hook the hose up real quick to the exhaust. No more misfire. It sounds good, you know. Alright, Tammy, you want to step on the gas? Whoa, be careful. Sounds good. Step on it. Nice. Step on the gas. Nice. I'm gonna see if I can clear some of them codes out. Let's do a health report. Let's just scan all the modules again. PCM, no more codes. Step on it. Let off. As you can see, guys, everything's back. Everything's happy. The computer is no longer throwing any faults for the accelerator pedal. Step on it again, Tammy. Give him one more final farewell. Pump it, Mrs. Pedal Pumper. Well, there you have it. And I can see why I wanted to really share this with you guys, because we were thrown a curveball at this one. But our basic checks showed us that something wasn't right. However, if I would have just went down that connector and just waited till I found a 5 volts without comparing it to a known good reference, I wouldn't have known. I would have just seen that I have 2 5-volt references there. I have 2 grounds there. What's wrong? Why ain't I getting that signal out there? Throw a pedal at it, and just like they tried, and it didn't solve anything because we got twisted up with our APP2 reference and signal. They got switched around, blue with white and a blue with gray. They look identical on one side of the harness, and I can see why that happened. That's what we got, guys. So I'm going to go in there, I'm going to solder everything up. With that being said, guys, we're going to close this one out. I truly enjoyed everybody interacting with one another, sharing their input and their approach. And I tell you what, there's a lot of top-notch guys out there. And even if you would have took a different direction, you most likely would have ended up in the same position. What one's quicker? What one's better? What one's more efficient? I'll leave that up to you guys to make the call. Until next time, guys, stay tuned.